Hello and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. So Josh, before the podcast started, we were talking a little bit about Baldur's Gate, and we decided to kind of save it for this episode so that we could talk a lot about Baldur's Gate. Now, I don't know where this is going to go because I have so much I want to talk about.
I think we should just leave this as a Baldur's Gate episode. I don't think we should have a topic. Let's just talk about Baldur's Gate for this whole episode.
Because there's so much juicy content in Baldur's Gate.
It's so good to talk about.
Yeah, it is.
It's everything that you can talk about, from like the story to the feel of D&D to the way they change the rules to combat encounters that they balance so beautifully that I'm going to steal from my game.
No, I agree. Well, I think what we should first talk about is let's just talk about the feel of the game and how it relates to D&D, because I'm kind of interested in your opinion on that as well. How I was thinking about this as I was getting my pretzels out for this podcast, because I'm eating mustard pretzels.
Oh yes, you gotta have something very quiet to chew on while you. You astound me with some of these decisions you make, my guy.
Hey, listen, I can always mute my microphone as I eat my honey mustard pretzels, okay?
I did give you the mute button for that very purpose.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious, because when I was in the pantry getting the pretzels, I was thinking to myself, like, this game to me, and this is just to me, really does feel like D&D. And do you kind of agree?
It gets the vibe very, very nicely. Like, it gets it's so over the top silly at times, but it's also like not excessively so. There's still like a story, and by the end you're crying because you love all the characters, and like it gets it really well. But I think a major reason for that is because, one, the people who made the game made it with the love of the original source material. And so they knew what they wanted to capture, and they've had 2 years of experience. 2 games of experience coming into this before, like, not even including the other divinities, just the 2 last ones that were like massive successes and was getting so close to this thing that I don't know if they perfected it, but they're getting awful close.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, obviously the video game aspect has its limitations, right? So dialogue options, things like that. Obviously, those are limitations. There are a few times within the game where I feel like I, as a player, would have said something different than the dialogue options 100%, gave me.
100% agree with that.
Obviously, yeah, like those type of things, or how you persuade somebody to do something, or do a performance check to persuade somebody. There are times as a long lover of a bard, which sounded really great. But anyways, as a long lover of a bard,
it's your romantic partner as a bard, is what you're saying.
Yeah, is my romantic partner, the bard of D&D. Yes. I just really felt like there was stuff missing in that aspect. I thought it was really good though.
What class did you play?
Okay, so I've played several different classes. I've played 2 characters mostly. I played a halfling bard as my very first character, but first I didn't know you could change classes, so I wasn't very far.
Oh, you didn't know about the reclassing? Okay.
Yeah. So I just kind of didn't feel like the bard was good. In games and in D&D, I can struggle with power gaming a little bit, just because I love to have really strong builds, especially like, I can do 400 damage around, and we'll get into that later because I want to talk about those too. But
I will say I've always been different than you on that one, where I'm okay with, like, I do like to, like, make myself really good, but it doesn't always have to be in the combat arena. Right now, my current, like, because I'm going through on my second playthrough right now, and I've made it to the Underdark. I am level 5. I am doing my what I call a skill monkey.
Yeah.
Where I am 1 level of cleric, 1 level of rogue, and then the rest of bard to get all, like, proficient in everything except for like 1 thing. But even that you have half proficiency on. So any roll that I have to make, I just send the skill monkey out and he just does it pretty well.
Yeah, no, which is super cool. I think my main problem that I have with Bard is what I was talking about earlier, is I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like because I've played Bard so much in D&D 5th edition, it's probably the class I've played the most by a large margin.
Yeah.
I just felt like the dialogue options that I would have said as a Bard or as someone who's played a lot of D&D would be a little bit different.
Mhm.
Not to say that they were bad, because they're not. They're good. They're
I-
still really
I
fun
will
and
say
really
they
good.
did add a bunch. Like, there's been a bunch of times where it was like they added whole, like, complete new, like, parts that I didn't realize until I played this skill monkey that I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting bard options that I didn't have.
Yep.
Like, I got to some points in quests where I could literally just lie and say that I did it.
Yep.
Even though before I couldn't do that when I played previously.
Yep. Yeah, and that's kind of a big thing I've noticed is just the differences in classes and even somewhat a race. So right now, I'm playing a Githyanki rogue, and I kind of went the route of I was power gaming a tiny bit. It just kind of crept up on me with this build in particular, though. But I wanted to play a rogue who had access to proficiencies with a greatsword because I wanted to try a greatsword sneak attack. It just didn't work out the way I wanted.
Yeah.
So then I just kept playing, and I ended up using crossbows. I ended up using 2 hand crossbows and being a thief because they have 2 bonus actions. So it just felt kind of extremely busted.
I loved thief.
Yeah,
I'm
really,
playing with a
really
friend,
good.
and I'm playing as a thief.
Yeah, it's really good.
The 2
especially
bonus
if
actions
you do wield
is so
hand crossbows.
nice.
Yeah,
Especially
well, the thing
early
I found,
on when you get the extra bonus
Yeah.
attacks.
Well, right, and I think we can kind of transition a little bit into build here because the thing I found, and this is before I looked up builds. Now I'm addicted to looking at builds because I just love building characters, both in normal D&D and in this game. But when I offhand a sharpshooter ranged attack, the sharpshooter negative doesn't proc. So it's only just plus 10 damage without losing any of the bonuses
What?
to... Yeah, so I have like 95% chance to hit, and I do like 30 damage each shot, and I have 4 attacks. So it's like...
That's
so
wild.
stupid.
So it doesn't add at all?
No, it's only just the damage. I don't know why or how, but I found that out myself, and now I'm looking it up on the internet, and it's all over the internet. But yeah, it's just straight up extra damage. Now your main hand, it still applies the -5 to hit. But your offhand, when you offhand attack, it doesn't at all. I don't know why. I don't know if it's supposed to be that way. I don't know if it's supposed to be a glitch. It's got to be a glitch, I'd imagine.
Oh no, it's definitely.
Anyway,
It sounds like a bug.
Yeah, it sounds like a bug.
Well, I think maybe something they just forgot to like account for. 2 hand crossbows.
Yeah.
That's a very D&D player thing.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the build because I just feel like a pistolero where I'm just like running around and just like shooting everything, doing 100 damage around.
Yeah.
With no resources spent at all because it's just
you don't have to worry about crossbow bolts or anything.
Yeah. Well, and then I found a ring that gives all my attacks advantage, but all my saving throws disadvantage. So I always have sneak attack no matter what I'm doing. So I just kind of run around. And
wild ring.
Yeah.
I love because it's such a deadly curse.
I know.
But,
so I just run around and shoot things at advantage all times.
There was
getting
these
sneak attack
gloves that you get pretty early on that if you have like 2 or more enemies in your area, you get it like you an advantage. Those were so nice.
Yes. So I'm still really enjoying the build, but for some reason I'm just not digging the Githyanki race. And there's only one reason, and this is gonna sound super racist, but it's only because of how they look in game. They look like they're so weird shaped.
I love Gith. I've loved Gith since I started playing D&D.
Yeah,
I like Githzerai better than I like Githyanki, but the Githyanki are all that's in the game. So
yeah, well, I love the race just in general, but for some reason my character looks like a triangle. Like he just looks. I just can't.
It looks like a triangle.
I don't know. I just can't deal with it. I can't do it. So it's starting to bug me a little bit.
Yeah.
I've tried to put it in the back of my mind, but every time he like talks to somebody and like zooms in on his triangular shoulders and his like really awkwardly skinny legs, it's just I can't do it. And you can't change your race, so like I can't, or your look after you've done it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have just changed what I like if I could have a slider to make myself beefier or look different. But I just can't. It's starting to bug me a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially during the romance option scenes because my character just looks so funny. I just can't do it.
Oh man.
I love like his face and like the his. I love that whole section, but once you get to the below the neck, it's just like I'm some sort of, I just can't, I don't know. I can't deal
I
with
put
it. So
so much time and effort into my characters. I can't imagine not being happy with them. But
yeah.
I get how if you did,
So
especially because you're in the third act now, right? Yeah, that's a
yes, I
long
am.
time to be playing with a character.
I just beat the final boss of Act 2. So I just made it. I'm not in the third act yet. I just beat the final boss. And I
Oh,
am
so you haven't even stepped foot in Baldur's Gate yet?
No, I'm about to. I'm very
Oh my
close
goodness, so much
Yeah. So
changes.
I know there's so much stuff to do, and
There's
there's a part of
dude.
me.
The craziest thing is, oh my word, this game is wild, man.
Yeah, it is.
There was so many times
there's a part of me
in Baldur's Gate where I just like in literally the city Baldur's Gate where I walk into just a random house where I'm like, oh, there's literally nothing is pointing me into this house. I'm just gonna go here. Oh, there's a little child here. I'm gonna talk to her. Suddenly I'm on a 5-hour quest that I've been doing for this little child, and it's like I could have. There's no reason for me to go to that house.
Yeah. Well, now I'm at the point where I'm like, do I just speed run into? But like, there's no way I can speed run through Baldur's Gate. I love to roleplay even in this game, and I'm not going to be able to if I just try and speed
I think
run
you
everything.
stick it out, and I think you finish the game with this character, and then you start over on another one. You've put too much time into not.
I know. So, but then it gets to, well, man, there's so much I want to talk about. So let's kind of segment this now. Let's get into something you're interested, which is story, because I know you love the stories of these games. You love that
story
kind of
is one of my
aspect
major
game.
things in games.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
So
here
let's talk about it. Again, this is probably going to be some spoilers. So this is going to be our little spoiler episode.
So are we going to talk about
psyched.
story for the rest, or are we going to talk about, because I think going into like combat would be the next, because we're staying with mechanics and kind of what your class was and stuff. I will say, there are differences. The differences by what race you play are so wild.
They are, yeah.
In like a way where it's like, oh, that totally makes sense, but like, I didn't realize the game could be so different between each playthrough. In the early access, because I've had this game since early access.
And it's been out for a long time in early access,
right?
Oh, yeah. Like a long time.
Yeah. I think it's like 3 years.
A couple of years, right? Yeah.
I will say I have played, before the game came out, I had 89 hours in game.
Oh, gosh.
Because I did 2 like long playthroughs of Act 1, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I never did an evil playthrough, which is what I'm doing now.
Oh no. Well, let's break down mechanics of things first. Let's kind of break down combat.
I will say there was a combat that I ran into in Act 2 where it was just this like random side event. Like it wasn't
Which
even
one?
Like I'll explain it in a second. I don't want to spoil too much or say where it was. It was kind of near like a river or something, I think. And as you kind of walk by and explore this little area, suddenly these things like teleport all around you. And what they do, they're like little goblin guys. I don't know. I forgot what they actually were. But they would garrote you. And then once they had you garroted, they would teleport you away from your party. So suddenly all 4 of your people are just in 4 different corners of this battle, all with their own person garroting them. And so like, I was lucky that like the team composition I chose for most of the game was my paladin, Lae'zel as a fighter, Karlach the barbarian, and Shadowheart the cleric. So all could do melee combat pretty well.
Yeah.
But man, it was such a fun fight to like, because you're also in this like, it's called the Shadowlands or whatever. It's like this curse is over the whole thing. So
I know what you're talking
if
about.
you're away from light, you get hurt. So
like
if
really
you
bad
had
too, you die quick.
Oh, very quickly. If you didn't have your one person with the lantern or people with light spells on, those other guys had to quickly get away from their enemy and run back to each other to get into the. It was such a good encounter. I'm like, I am 100% taking this wholesale exactly as is.
See, the problem I'm running into when we're talking about combat with a really optimized build is my rogue character kills everything like immediately. So I was talking to Chris and he's having problems with. Yeah, I might have to with it, but I was talking to Chris about the bullet encounter that he keeps dying to. He keeps getting killed by it,
Oh,
and my rogue
I
killed it in
hated
one
that.
turn. My rogue killed it in one turn. I wasn't even surprised by it, and I just killed it in one turn.
I
So it
hated the
was like
bullet, but
150 HP.
what there's a part in the Underdark where you can go, and you'll face these hook horrors and this one human
Mm-hmm.
who will not talk to you.
Yeah.
But if you go into this encounter, so the bullet shows up as well.
Yep.
And so the bullet and the hook horrors are territorial. If you look at their
Yep.
like character sheets, their stuff. So that means they're going to fight monstrosities in their or aberrations in their area first before they fight you. So they all start attacking each other. So it was my opportunity to just like with the hook horrors, just wail on it until it died.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say for difficulty in this, I will say that I really think balanced is a really good difficulty.
It is.
I think if you're not playing optimized, it's a pretty good challenge.
Oh no, that's
you
the
know,
thing. I never felt like I was ever. It never felt like any fight was an easy win, and it never felt like
Yeah.
any fight was like too hard. It felt like,
yeah,
oh
and
man, I
that's
just didn't do that right. If I tried it again, it would be
Yep.
it would be fine.
Yeah, and I think when I was playing my bard, I got to the goblin camp, and I felt that same way. I felt like pretty. I wasn't struggling, but I wasn't like the main boss fights and stuff. I wasn't like, oh man, this is super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not playing a super optimized character, I think even tactician would probably still feel that way. I think it's a pretty good game balance for not optimizing your builds and for just playing it and role playing it and doing things your character would do. I think it's really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've switched to an optimized build, I have not had a single. My character solos everything. I soloed the entire goblin camp by myself. So there's not a single.
That is why I do not enjoy min maxing.
Exactly. Well, so
it's
kind of taken a little bit of the joy out in that regard but I just love seeing damage numbers. When you do like 150 damage a turn, you're like,
oh no, it's super
yes.
fun and like really interesting when you can like figure that stuff out. But I think this game balances its combat so perfectly that I just would hate to ruin that. It's one of like my favorite things is just like all of these combats, even ones where I'm like, oh, there's no way this is gonna like suddenly one of the combats that seems easy, they call in reinforcements and then it becomes one of those ones where it's like, okay, no, this is still a struggle.
Yeah. And when I was playing the bard, I had a really hard time with the hobgoblin leader of the goblin camp. I had a hard time beating him. Yeah, I had a hard time beating him with just the bard because I wasn't even playing like your traditional thing. So I think I was playing with Will, and he was a druid.
Oh, you changed him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I changed all of them, and it was just kind of I don't know. I was very poor team composition. I had a monk, I had a paladin, and then I had my character as a bard, and it just like I don't know, it just didn't go well the first time I did it because I didn't really systematically check off the bosses or the areas very well. So like if they hit the drum at all, it was like 600 guys coming to beat me up.
Yeah.
So like it didn't quite feel great, but once I switched to my rogue, I just killed him in one turn, which is so
I will say one of the things I like about the game or what they decided to do is it doesn't feel like any of the characters are optimized.
No.
But it also doesn't feel like that's a problem. But it does also feel like, hey, if you wanted to, you can do that, and then you would have an easier time.
Well, and there's so much stuff that I feel like the developers just left in to make optimized builds. So, I mean, I'm just going to get into a few that I've been thinking about playing / have. My character's level 9 right now or something like that.
Yeah.
Level 9. So I've just been multi-classing just for trying new things, just for fun. And I've played a sorcerer cleric where you can max out lightning damage and whatever that divine channel divinity is, where you max out your lightning damage and then there's like a void ball that like sucks everybody into a single section, and then you just lightning bolt max damage to everybody, and you throw a water bottle on them to make them all wet. So it's like 700 damage for everybody in that circle, and they all die.
Yeah,
it's so fun. Yeah, because they're all vulnerable. It's so much fun. It's so stupid, but so I played around with that build. I've played around with the Tavern Brawler build. Do you know what Tavern Brawler does in this game?
I mean, I know what it does originally. I was
So they
really sad
changed it.
that they didn't have grappling in this game because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love the like hexing people and
yeah,
then doing the grapple like
yeah.
combo, and
Yeah,
there's
well,
no grapple
since
in
there's
this
no
game.
grappling, they obviously had to change the Tavern Brawler
Mm-hmm.
feat. And what they decided to do, which this is, I mean, honestly, it probably needs to be nerfed. But what they decided to do is A, you get to increase either strength or constitution by one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the first part. Not a big deal, right? That seems, whatever. The second part is on any unarmed, improvised, or thrown weapon attacks, you get to add your strength modifier twice to both hit and damage,
Mm.
which is insane. So I played a Tavern Brawler monk who, I mean, it was probably 200 damage around with flurry of blows and everything because you just are just punching everything dead. It's so dumb because each
Oh, it
attack you
adds
do.
it to unarmed as well.
So
Oh, so that
each
makes
attack,
monks, and
it's
yeah, that's like a
oh
necessary
yeah.
feat for
So
monks
I
then.
multi-classed into rogue to get 2 bonus actions. So I
Mm.
would do 2 flurry of
Oh my
blows, which
goodness.
is 4 attacks, and then 2 normal attacks, which is 6 attacks at level like I don't know 5 or
Mm-hmm.
level like 8. It was just stupid.
Yeah.
It was super fun though because you're just watching a character like dash around and just like punch everybody to death like immediately. But that's kind of really dumb.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the 3 builds I've been playing with, and then Druid. If you have Tavern Brawler feat as well, you can use it in Druid as your wild shape form.
Hmm.
But
Oh,
it doesn't add to
that's
damage.
really good too.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't add it to damage though, only to hit. So you still have like 95% chance to hit all the time, and you're just running around in owlbear form or tiger form or whatever form you choose, and just killing things. So it's
That's
super
interesting.
fun. Yeah, it's been really fun. Uh, have you tried any builds, or have you just done your paladin? Which
I
paladin in and of
I
itself is
did
really good.
straight Oathbreaker Paladin pretty much the whole game.
Nice,
I broke my oath
nice.
so fast
Yeah.
purely because it was so. I'll explain how I broke my pact. This is in Act 1. In Act 1, when you come upon Lizelle, she is in a in
Yeah.
she's in a trap by some tieflings. Tieflings aren't evil. They're from like the tiefling group, but like they're very aggressive immediately.
Yeah.
Well, in they saw I was a drow and were like, "I don't trust you. I'm going to kill you," because I played a drow in my first game. And so they're like, well, "We're going to kill you immediately." But like there was a way I could persuade them to be like, "No, no, no, I'm not with them. I'm
Yep.
good." But I was like, "Well, I want the experience points anyways. I'll just kill them."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was like, "You have broken your oath," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay."
I've tried to kill that guy,
Sure.
by the way, the Oathbreaker Paladin.
Oh, I wouldn't try it. He had like
I
200
tried.
something. I think I could do it later in the game, but I didn't want
Yeah,
to.
he's level 12.
He was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried just for fun. I saved and tried just for fun.
Yeah. I will say the
but-
one change that I made to like my party composition, which I was really, really happy with, was I changed Shadowheart, which I'm probably going to do in this campaign. I haven't done it yet, but I'm probably going to change her from a trickster cleric to a life cleric.
Life Cleric is really strong. It feels real good.
She has the channel divinity, which heals for so much. It's pretty much like a free short rest.
Yep.
Which I
and
just
if you prayer of healing,
yeah,
when you prayer of healing outside of combat, it's like full restore to everybody.
And then she also has abilities that when I would, because of life cleric stuff, I think she had it. But then she also had like equipment that gave her similar things. So when she healed somebody else, she got healed. So then I would just have her heal everybody else, and then she would get so much healing for herself at the same time. It was wonderful.
Yeah, yep, and I have her as a life cleric right now also because I've changed. Well, let's dive into story because I want to do story then characters because I really want to talk about the characters too because I really like the characters in this game. So let's dive into story first. So thoughts on the story? Do you like it? You think it's good? Your favorite act so far?
I thought it was
at?
very good. I played all the way through. I finished it as I'm on my second
Yep.
playthrough. I played the Dark Urge. I was incredibly happy with the story. It was exactly what I thought it was. Like that, I was like, I know exactly what this is before the game even came out.
Yeah.
As soon as they said this new one's called the Dark Urge, based on everything we talked about in the previous ones. Now this is going to be a spoiler. Aaron already told me he's okay with this spoiler because he might not ever play the Dark Urge. This is the spoil. And if you listen to our previous episodes, you can kind of guess it.
Yeah,
you're a ball spawn. You're the child of murder. As
I
child.
figured.
Yeah. It's like
I figured
it was like as obvious as possible as soon as that was the thing.
Yep.
And you have like creepy dreams and stuff. But like, one of the interesting things is because as you know, for where you're at, now this is a major spoiler for that they didn't share. The three main enemies that they showed in trailers and stuff, Ketheric Thorm, Gortash, and Orion.
Yeah.
They are three like clerics, paladins, whatever. They are followers of the three dead gods. The three they're called like the dead three. They're the gods that make up all the god of death's kind of domain. So Myrrh, oh gosh, I forget what they are, but it's Baal, Merkel, and Bane are the three, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. And so, being that Orion is the leader of the Church of Baal, it turns out that you were originally the leader of the Church of Baal.
It's so good.
And
That's
you
so good.
were actually one of the ones who started this Church of the Absolute. You started everything that's happening, and she betrayed you, and like pretty much lobotomized you. That's why you forgot everything. And
now you're coming back to kill her.
And now you've come back to kill her. and
that's good.
It was fantastic. It felt so much like, oh, this is meant to be the main character.
Yeah.
Like it had that energy to it. And the story was so good, and I loved it.
So yeah, I'm playing a Githyanki rogue, custom, just the custom origin. And honestly, I've really enjoyed the story a lot. It's been really fun. The race and class dialogue options that you have, and the things you can do to like impact the story are really, really fun.
Can I ask you a question?
I will say, yeah.
Did you go through the mountain pass or through the Underdark?
I did. Okay, well, I did both, but I officially entered.
Well.
Yeah. I officially entered through the Underdark. I went to the mountain pass.
So
first,
you met as a Githyanki. You met the Githyanki group, because that would be incredibly
really
different
fun.
To how I
highly recommend it. Yes, I highly recommend it. It's really, really fun. I ended up killing them all, but that's beside the point. And your companion Lae'zel gets really angry.
Yeah, she would.
And I betrayed my own god. So, and she's super
not
pissed.
a
But
god.
you can turn her. I know, but you can turn her against her god as well. I know, but she has an insta-death option.
Closer to a god than Vlaakith is.
Yeah, but she has an insta-death option if you don't talk to her.
Yes, she does. She casts
well
wish
enough.
on you. She wishes you to die because she's not a god. So the only way she can kill you from far away is she casts wish.
But it's really fun to be a Githyanki with Lae'zel, because when you do all that stuff, you can actually turn Lae'zel against her own god, so to speak, of the Githyanki.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So first, I'm going to break it down into acts, I guess. I haven't been to Act 3 yet, but I can kind of piece things together. I'm going to
say one thing about Act 3 that is, because you haven't gotten there, but you're about to.
Yeah.
They have the most D&D moment at the very beginning of Act 3. You go to a carnival.
Yes, I've already seen this.
Out of the complete blue of, hey, we had all this crazy stuff happening. Let's have a carnival episode.
Yeah,
and it's the most D&D thing they could have done, and I love it. And
just
there's a little kobold merchant who you will fall in love with, Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so I'll break it down. Can I
spoil one thing about the very end that doesn't... Yeah. It doesn't spoil anything, actually.
Yeah,
but
I don't care.
That little kobold merchant shows up at the very final battle to be your last merchant. That's like, hey, before you go out there, let me sell you stuff. And you're like, do you
so
understand where you're at? Like everything, like
Yeah.
hell's breaking loose out there. Do you understand this? And he's like, well,
Yeah.
don't die because I need to
Yeah.
buy more things. I need you to buy more things. And you're like, okay,
That's
I guess
actually
I
a
won't
good
die
question
for
too.
you.
Yeah, well, that's a good question too. Before I break down the axe,
Mm.
money. Do you feel like you're short on money, or are
No.
you abundantly rich? I'm so rich.
At all
I can't
times,
even.
I have at least 4,000. I think right now
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
level 5. I have I
I
5,000.
have so much. I have so much
But I
money. I
love
don't
it.
even know what
I
to
love
do
it.
with
It makes me feel
It's
secure.
great.
It makes me feel safe.
It's wonderful.
If I ever need
I
to
can
buy
buy anything I want.
can.
Yeah, it's great.
I talked to somebody and they were like, they literally like talked down to me. Were like, I doubt you have this kind of money, but here,
You're like,
this is
"Oh,
how much I'm
yeah."
offering. And I'm like, I have 5 times that much, my guy.
Yeah, I think right now I have like 15,000 gold going into Act 3. I
Whew,
bought
I don't think
every
I've
single
ever had.
magical
I don't think I
item.
ever had 15,000 because at
Yeah.
certain points, like when it was having really hard combats, because this is something you're not experienced. Like I would buy supreme and greater
Yeah.
potions because it would just like
Never
help
used
me
a potion.
tide over. Because you can do them as a bonus action in this game, which is
And you
how
can
I
throw
play
them,
it in my
too.
D&D game. Yes, you
Yeah,
can
and you
also
can
throw
throw
them
them
at
to
each
heal,
other, which
is
is
super cool.
hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. No, I'm abundantly rich. I bought pretty much every magical item I can, unless I killed the merchant. But
Mhm.
and I think it's been really good in terms of money, because I don't like it when a game kind of skimps on the money for you,
Yeah.
especially in a game like D&D, because in D&D, one of my favorite things in D&D is buying really dumb magical items that you can just abuse, and like it's just really fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that they give you that much money, but it does take time because you got to collect every single weapon and every single piece of food on the ground and X,
Mhm.
Y, and Z. I guess one more mechanic before I break down the axe. Resting. How do you like the full rest and short rest
Love it.
mechanic? I love it. I feel like it's really great.
Absolutely adore it.
Yeah.
It's the perfect way to like
Yeah.
make that a part of like the thing,
Yeah.
and it makes it
So
feel
for-
like every time I gather like items and stuff,
Yep.
like food, it makes it
A
feel
fish.
like it's purposeful.
Yeah. I will say, so how they do it for people who don't know how they do the rest cycles is short rest. You can take 2 per long rest, and you can just click on a short rest button, and it just heals your character, and your character gets stuff back.
I
that
never
they
know
would
how
get
they
in a short
calculate
rest.
that, but I feel like it's like it's
I have no
something
idea.
based on how many levels you are. Like
Yeah.
it's like 20 at one point, 30 at another. Like it's
I don't know.
it's a set amount, and it is always like
Yeah.
good. It doesn't always
It's
fill
great,
you up
though.
perfectly, but it's really well done.
Yeah, it fits the video game scheme really well, because like
Mhm.
you just click a button, you're back to HP, your druid gets your wild shapes back, your warlock gets spell slots back, just stuff like that, really good, like arcane recovery triggers, just things like that.
Yes.
Really great. I love it. Long rests, also love it. So long rests, you have to go to your own camp. So each time you hit long rest, you have like your own camp that you go to. And in that camp, you have to select food equal to 40 or 80 rations, depending on your difficulty, to fully heal your party. If you don't have enough rations, you can still fully heal, but I think you lose some benefits, but I don't remember what they are.
Mhm.
I think you don't get your spell slots back. I don't remember. Something. I've never not had enough rations because they're everywhere. But
Oh yeah, no, it's I think that's what it is. I think it's you don't get
Yeah.
the full rest. You don't gain as many hit points. Stuff
yeah, it's
like
called
that.
a partial rest.
But I will say,
But-
I think that is also well balanced. And in Tactician,
yeah,
instead of needing 40, you need 80 every
need
time
80.
you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Which is great. I think it's really good.
it is. But
and so then,
I will say, until the very end, like in Baldur's Gate, I did not need to pick up a single piece of food.
Yeah.
I had I think 2 camp supplies like left on my final
Yeah.
day, so I was like spending them pretty
Yeah.
willy nilly. The like last
Yep.
2 long rests before the game was coming to an end, because I knew I was like, I'm not gonna
Yep.
need these.
Yeah. Well, and then during a long rest, pretty much that's where all the goody stuff happens. You pretty much can talk to a bunch of people. They always have stuff to say to you.
Mhm.
You can go through relationship trees and dialogue options. And then you unlock certain characters who can change your class. They can, bring people back from the dead, a bunch of different stuff. And then you have a chest that has infinite loot capability. So you can
Infinite
hold pretty much
space.
anything.
Yeah.
Infinite space.
So you pretty much
you can
send
hold
all
whatever
your
you want.
food there because it just wastes
Yep.
waste weight in
Yep.
your pocket.
All
and
your
so on and
magic
so on.
items that you want to keep, all that stuff. You just throw in your camp, which I think is wonderful because it's just dumb when, you play a game to play a game and have fun. When they restrict you like that so heavily, it's kind of annoying. So it's just really nice to have
the camp is really well done, and the camp is something that they did not have in the Divinity and Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
They didn't have it in those. And it is such a better mechanic, because another thing is, in Divinity, when you were getting to, like, the first act, you had to pick which, like, crew you wanted on your team.
Yeah.
And the rest just disappeared from the game.
Oh, that's sad.
So now those other crew that you didn't pick are left at your camp, so that you can pick them up whenever you want, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. And
I will say,
and all the characters are wonderful. So
I saw a TikTok today where there was this audio, this TikTok audio that I've seen used a few times, where it's like somebody's like, "Okay, go to bed," and then they just like start crying, and somebody animated something and said, "When I go to bed in Baldur's Gate 3 and there's not a special cutscene." Because that's when they'll also do like special events and special cutscenes that happen when you take a long rest.
Yep, and they're all great. I've really enjoyed virtually everyone I've been a part of so far. So let's break down acts, and then I want to go into characters, because I think characters are really a big part of this game. So the acts for me so far. So I've done Act 1 and Act 2, and I'm jumping into Act 3 as we speak. Act 1, honestly, I thought was a ton of fun. I loved Act 1. You're pretty much just running around killing goblins. Let's be honest. That's pretty much
or helping goblins kill humans.
or helping goblins kill humans, depending on what alignment you want.
Oh, sorry, kill tieflings.
Kill tieflings. It's a really fun, complicated mess between tieflings and druids, and trying to figure out how to,
There's also
appease
so much lore
groups
there that people can completely ignore if they want.
Yeah.
Or it could be incredibly important to you, which is why I loved it so much, because it is literally like the remnants of the campaign called Descent into Avernus.
Yep.
So if you know about what happened in that, you'll have like this heads up on like who these people are, where they're from, but like you don't technically need to know any of that.
Yeah,
all you need to
get
know
attached
is
to
these people are refugees. They're trying to get back to safety. And that's all you need to know.
Yeah. Well, and so I chose to rescue the tieflings, which I think probably most people are going to do, because they seem to be the ones that's the good branch when it comes to that kind of decision.
It's so bad if you don't help them.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm playing my first bad playthrough. I don't get two of the companions I didn't, three companions I didn't get. At the end, and in Act 2, I might be able to pick up one if I make some good rolls. But the other ones weren't totally happy with it. So, my wizard, there's a huge possibility that he leaves. I have to keep him on side, and so on and so on. It is, if you don't go that way, it is a lot harder.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I've really enjoyed, so in Act 1, when you have to make decisions about druids and tiefling refugees, and then obviously goblins. So it's kind of the three major parties at play. And depending on the choices you make, you find these people in Act 2 as well. And it's just really fun to see like all these characters that you kind of grown attached to help rescue you. I got rescued by a little kid in Act 2 because I rescued her.
She's great.
She convinced me. Yeah, she's wonderful.
She is one of my favorite characters in the whole thing.
She vouches for you to get into places in Act 2 that you need to be. So it's really cool.
I was thinking about a different child. No, that child's good too.
Yeah.
There's so many good children in this game.
Well, and there's a second tiefling child that I ran into, not too long ago, but in the grand scheme of things, I guess it is, but where you have to find her parents and stuff. Because they disappear, which is really sad. But
you saved her already, technically, because she was
saved her already.
In trouble in the Druid Grove.
Yeah, so it's just really fun that you can see these reoccurring characters throughout the acts. So Act 1, if you decide to go the good route, you just go and murder a bunch of goblins, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. You go to a huge giant fortress of goblins, and you just murder them. It's pretty much what you do, and it's great. There are so many other options you can do, though. So as Josh was kind of mentioning, you can join them if you want. There's so much stuff you can do. And we'll save on the spoilers on what you do if you do join them or if you don't join them. But you have all those different options at your disposal depending on what character you want to play, which I think is really cool for a video game because there's not a lot of option. There's not a lot of games that do that kind of stuff that allow you to actually physically go and just murder an entire town.
I will say the best
or try
description
to.
I heard of given for this game, which I think is the best way to describe it. It feels like what we have been describing an RPG as.
Yeah.
So, like,
it really does.
When you describe an RPG, it sounds like you have this kind of freedom, and then it's like somebody actually goes and plays an RPG, and they're like, "Oh, this isn't what I thought it like. This isn't what I imagined based on how you described it."
Yep.
And then you see this, and you're like, "This is exactly what you imagined." Other when you first heard of what an RPG is.
Yeah. So and then at the end of Act 1, you have the option to get into Act 2 via 2 different ways that you can choose. Yet you can explore both. You don't need to choose one or the other. You can pretty much do both.
Yeah. They don't tell you can do both. They make it sound like it's a pretty harsh binary.
Yep.
But if you go and walk, you can
you can literally do them both. Yeah. It's great. Then you get into Act 2. And Act 2 is dark and twisted, man. I'll tell you what. It's pretty both literally and physically. Both literally and what's the other word I'm looking for? Not physically.
Figuratively?
Yeah, figuratively. Both. And
come on, Mr. Writer.
In Act 2, yeah, I know, right? In Act 2, there's pretty much there's a lot of bad guys, but there's pretty much one main bad guy that you're pretty much trying to kill. You're trying to infiltrate bad guys and murder the boss man.
I'm gonna say,
and
I missed
so fun,
so much in Act 2.
I did a lot, much in Act 2.
I think I missed so much.
I have guaranteed I've missed a ton in Act 2 because the Shadow Realm, the Shadow
Realm.
It's not the Shadow Realm, but the Shadow land you're in is huge, and it's so hard to traverse because you have to carry a dumb lantern or do
Cast
the good
light
option.
on yourself.
Yep. Yeah. So there's so much to explore in Act 2. And then what I didn't know, and this is going to be spoilers, but screw it. I tried to kill the leader of the bad guys right away.
Oh, no!
And you can't because he's
invulnerable. You have to deal with that. No, I'm going to say this. I didn't realize he was invulnerable, and I went to the place to destroy his invulnerability.
Yeah. I killed everyone in that fortress. Went up to the top of the fortress and was like, all right, man, you got no reinforcements left, baby. It's a 1v4. You're screwed. And then I'm like, I'm doing no damage. And, and there's a whole cutscene that explains to you why he doesn't take damage. Because they try to, some of the characters try to kill him. And he just like, hit me, I dare you, and he just doesn't take damage. And I'm like up there, like, I shoot him once with my rogue. And I'm like, well, I'm screwed. And he's so strong. So he just goes and kills all my people. So I ended up saving right before that battle and then just doing the rest of Act 2 while this whole fortress is dead. And he doesn't know, apparently. But so once you have to go through a whole quest line to figure out how to make him invulnerable. It's pretty much the story of Act 2, and then you murder him. It's so much fun. There's one of my favorite scenes so far in the entire game, and you can echo this if you agree with me, is the brewery, the distillery.
Oh, I love it! I love this guy!
It's so awesome. It's so much fun because you're trying to find out stuff.
He has like 3 or 4 lieutenants.
4 children. Yeah, they're like children.
Yeah, they're not that intelligent, and you can actually get past most of them just by talking to them. But it doesn't feel like I missed out on anything. Like, yes, it would have been a fun fight, but it was so fun. And this guy, he has this weird seam on he's huge. He's massive. He's got a large stomach, the whole, stitched together Frankenstein's monster
the distillery
style.
Master.
And his stomach in the very middle has a line in it. And that your person even comments that looks like it's about to burst. That can't be good.
Yeah, I think Karlak in my game was like, I don't want whatever's inside him on me.
And so you can then like convince him to keep drinking with you.
Yep.
And if you do that,
He blows up.
he explodes.
It's so cool. It's
too
so
big.
cool. It's so fun. It's so D&D. It's so D&D. And I'm a rogue, so I've just pretended to drink all the time, and it's just so fun. So,
oh man.
And then my favorite character I've met so far that isn't one of your companions. My favorite villain so far that I've met is the worshiper of Thar, or not Thar, Shar, who is that surgeon guy.
Oh, he's so good. He was shown off. I knew
so
him. I knew
creepy.
about him before the game because he was shown off as like, oh, look at this cool scene we have in the game that you can defeat without like ever attacking them, and it was a great scene to encounter him. It is one of the best encounters to go in as Shadowheart.
Yep.
Because she is a worshiper of Shar, and she's just like astounded by like, what the hell am I looking at?
And it's totally disturbing. It's so fun. But yeah, so then that I think has been my favorite villain that I've met so far. And then once you kind of go through all of his little minions and find out how to make them invulnerable, you can fight them and then move on to Act 3. And then I don't know much about Act 3 because I'm not there yet.
Act 3 is actually like the battle at the end of Act 2 is the hardest battle in the game.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Besides, like the fight, it depends on how you do it. I think that one, at least for me, was the hardest struggle I had.
I think it's the hardest one I've done with my optimized build for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine not being optimized. That was such a hard fight for me. I literally just like I am amazed I finished it when I did. Like I thought I was gonna have to go through it again. It was rough.
It's pretty hard.
But I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah. And so, do you want to talk about Act 3 a little bit?
Well, Act 3 it's not that. I mean, the main thing is you go to the city and then you kind of there's a lot of options, but the main thing is like how you decide how you're gonna confront these villains.
Yep.
They're all trying to do the thing in the main city, and so you can either just like try and as you did with the other guy, run up and just be like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Or you can try and like, I'm gonna try and like do this stealthily, or even like, hey, I'm gonna talk with you and say I'm gonna be on your side. Let's create a deal and let's go after the other person.
Yep.
So there's lots of options. You can really do it whenever, and it never felt that it felt good. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
I have yet to feel like I'm being rushed in the story. I have yet to feel like
That is the thing. They
don't have any options.
They keep the pace. They keep it like feeling like you're continually having to move, but they don't. It never feels like, oh, I can't explore this place as much as I want.
Yep. And I've really, really loved it. Now, obviously, every time you move on to an act, it's like, are you sure you don't want to tie up loose ends? And you're kind of like, well, maybe not, but but for the most part, I've really felt like this game has been honestly, for story wise and just gameplay mechanics, I think it's been one of my favorite games I've ever played.
Yeah.
I've just been totally addicted to it. So now the most important piece so far has been your companions. Who are you running with? Have you changed them up? What's going on? And then we'll talk a little bit about the juicy parts of romance.
In my first one, I told you who I was running with. But near the end of the game, I ended up running. It was my main character who was a paladin, Karlak the barbarian, Shadowheart the life cleric, and it ended up being Will, who I hated.
Oh yeah, I love Will.
So what was that?
I said I love Will. He's awesome.
Okay. What you? Oh my goodness. So I was talking to
He's
Aaron
like my favorite character.
About oh gosh, what's it called? Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah.
The person I hated in that game. The person who I just was like, I don't like this person at all. I'm never gonna play with you. That was the one Aaron romanced, and it's like, we have completely different tastes. It's wild. But so Will, part of the way through, he kind of becomes like a tiefling. He like gains horns and goes through this transformation and stuff. I was like, I want to make you as much of a monster as possible.
No.
So I shoved every single illithid specimen, like every little tadpole, into his brain as possible.
No.
He looked horrifying, but he was super freaking powerful. He was. I have never seen a warlock be such a good like AoE blaster as he was. I was
Warlock
using him
really
for
good in this
every
game.
fireball, every cone of cold. Like he with the illithid tadpoles, you can give him this ability to like create these black holes.
Yeah,
and so I would use these black holes to literally pull all of the enemies off of the map and just win fights. It was wonderful. But and then he could fly everywhere as well. It was so helpful. He was so useful.
Do we want to do a little breakdown? Do we want to do a little bit of a breakdown of kind of just the basics of every character who you meet along the way? No, like a pretty spoiler free, but just kind of a little breakdown.
I mean, sure. Yeah, sure.
So Shadowheart is, I think, the very first person you meet outside of the beginning of the game, right?
I guess.
Outside
if you're saying outside of the beginning of the game. The beginning of the game, you meet Lae'zel, and then you meet Shadowheart, and then it's...
Yeah.
And then once you land, it's Shadowheart almost immediately.
Half-elf cleric, right?
Yes, she is a half-elf cleric of Shar. Now, Shar we've talked about in a previous episode of this.
Yep.
She is considered an evil deity and is actually, like... illegal to worship in a lot of areas in the world. Because she has done some pretty nasty things. Where she's tried to kill other gods, and by doing that, like, one, she's tried to kill her sister Saloon, and one, she's tried to kill Mystra, the goddess of magic, and like all the she's made enemies with good gods to the point where the good gods are like, let's just make her worship illegal in the area. So having somebody on your side that is a worshiper of this, for most people, is like a red flag. Like, you're evil. Why do you worship this person? This person's horrible.
She's one of my favorite characters. She essentially, spoiler-free spoilers, she's just a mysterious cleric that you kind of unravel all the secrets as you kind of get to know the character.
She kind of like gets to know you and opens up about why she follows and who she is.
Really cool. Lae'zel, really fun little story.
Oh,
Lae'zel's who you find next, right? Well, I guess you can find
Lae'zel, you meet her earlier, and then you can find her kind of in whatever order on the open world. Lae'zel is a Githyanki. Now, Githyanki, we have not talked about them. They're one of my favorite races. Actually, we might have talked. I'm gonna have to look back and see.
Maybe
if we talked
way
about them.
before.
I love Gith so much. Gith.
Do you like Lae'zel though?
Oh, I loved Lae'zel.
Do you?
I didn't.
She's a douche.
I romanced her a little bit.
So mean.
I romanced her a little bit, and then went with Shadowheart in the end. But what Lae'zel is mean. It's a very mean person. Really? Her culture is all about like, you need to be the strongest, you need to be the toughest. It's survival of the fittest. We are training you for your whole life to fight mind flayers, to fight these incredibly powerful psionic enemies. And their queen, the person who rules their whole society, is so powerful and like this powerful lich. She actually turned herself into a lich so that she could live forever, and has kind of played up in her society's culture that she is a god. She is not just their queen; she is a god that they worship. And so everything that both Shadowheart and Lae'zel do is kind of in worship of their god. Is like, I want to look good in my god's eyes so that I could get granted power or whatever it is. And so Lae'zel is just very aggressive from the get-go.
So I will say,
this is the worst situation for her possible. Her life is to fight these guys, and now she has one in her brain.
And so I will say that kind of a spoiler-free spoiler for Lae'zel is super mean, but kind of opens up to you as time goes on.
I heard it described as she has a real Zuko from Last Avatar.
Yes, very much
growth.
So. Hated her in the beginning, but also there's a part of me that kind of likes her. But and I think the whole internet.
I think she really, like, I did not finish out her storyline in my first playthrough. I think she could really, like, I just didn't know how to, like, quote unquote push her. And I didn't feel like it was my right to push her to be the person I wanted her to be. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like, this is your belief. Why should I, like, it's the same with Shadowheart. I was like, this is your belief. I don't think I have any right to step on this or be like, oh, you shouldn't follow her. She's evil. So, like, I will say, spoiler, just because I really need to say this, in Act 2, there's a part where they make it very clear the good option is to tell her, ignore Shar and don't do what she asks.
Yep.
And I felt like, I hate this.
Yeah.
This is your belief system.
Yep.
I don't think I have the right to tell you no.
Yeah, and I love how it gives you these options of, like, I don't know, like, it makes you feel bad for trying to change these people a little bit.
Because they're people,
you know what I'm
and they
saying?
have their own beliefs. I should not be like, I have no right to be like, your belief is wrong, follow my belief.
Yeah. And Lae'zel kind of falls under that category a little bit
exactly.
as well.
Yes.
Astarion?
Yeah.
I hate him, but that's just me.
Wow, the internet loves him
so much.
I didn't like him that much. I didn't hate him, but I didn't love him that much. He is a beautiful little half vampire, a vampire's thrall.
Yeah.
He is
a handsome devil, though. I'll tell you that much.
He is very untrusting. He doesn't want to share anything with you. He doesn't like to share that you have to, like, he has to trip up before you find out he's a vampire.
Exactly.
But, like, because of everything that's going on with you and the rest of the people, for some reason he's not being affected by his vampire, like, master.
Yep.
Which is wild to him. And he kind of, like, he half wants to get rid of this thing, but he's also like, this is the first time I've been free in my life.
Yeah, and he likes the power of the vampire, though, too. He
he likes the power of the vampire, and he likes the power of what he has in his head right now. He just doesn't want to die to it.
Yeah, so I will say, he's a great character. His likes are literally murder, like you know, or
just being mean to people, and you're like, did we really need that? Are you sure?
So, like, I think he's a really cool and interesting character. I have such a hard time being mean in games. I just can't do it. So, like, I don't really run him very often. But honestly, his story is really fascinating. I love how he literally, like you said, has to slip up before you can even find anything out about him. You know. Yeah. So I guess a spoiler-free spoiler for him would be a mysterious noble who is very closed off to the main character, but kind of like the rest, open up as time goes on. But
yeah, he says he's a marquis of
major spoilers. Major spoilers. You can become a vampire if you want from him, and you can get his powers. So
I didn't know that.
If you want to, yep, you can.
I mean, I was like,
everything.
This has to be an option, but I didn't assume it. I didn't like.
So really fun option if you want to go that way. So you can do that. Who else? Who do we got? Gale. Let's go Gale. Gale's great. I love Gale.
Gale is an irritating little wizard who cries. He consumes your magic items. He sucks. We all hate him. No.
He only does that
Gale
for one act.
fine.
Come on.
I actually think I could pull off the Gale haircut. I pretty much have it now.
You probably could. Yeah.
I just need to get on my my curls to be a little bit like more up.
Boy, where do I even start with Gale though? Like, where do
Gale
I even?
Gale is a wizard who will quickly tell you all of his backstory because he's more than happy to tell you everything. He's
also extremely horny and flirts with you all the time.
Oh yes. He is the first one.
Never
who will
go on like magical
be...
walks with him if you don't want to romance him. I'm just saying that right now. Just don't ever go on magical walks.
He what he did back in the day was he slept
with a goddess, right?
The god of magic. He had a kind of a fling.
It's more than a fling, man.
And he got to a point where he wouldn't like listen to her anymore, and she was like, "Hey, like hold on, you're not worthy yet. Like, just really, you just gotta like calm down a little bit, okay? Just calm down." And he was like, she thinks I'm not worthy. I need to prove my worth to her.
Yep.
So what he did
So he has a
to
genius
do that
idea.
was he stole something that he shouldn't. And it was not what he thought it was, and it is now a bomb that is permanently in his chest. So you have to feed him magic items every so often to make sure that that bomb doesn't go off. And that's his whole thing in this first part.
So for Gale, spoiler, not spoiler, I guess Gale is a very open, horny wizard who is wonderful, honestly. That's just,
You're not wrong, but
that's
he's just a very open, horny wizard.
he's awesome. He's so fun. He's so hilarious. He has so many clever dialogue options. He's so funny. But if you're not interested in romancing him, seriously, don't talk to him at all, because it's like immediate. So, like literally,
he's like, I like you, and you're like, whoa, dude, I talked to you like once.
He's like,
my guy.
I could show you magical secrets, and you're like, when I first did it, I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I love magic.
The same,
yeah,
exactly the same. I was like, "That's so cool." Yeah, show me all your
Yeah.
magical secrets. Oh, this is a romance scene. No, dude, I'm good.
That's what you mean by magical secrets. Okay, who's next on the list?
It's like that. Here, let me show you all these magical secrets.
Yeah, that's exactly
Why are you
what
naked?
it is. Next on the list is Will. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this character.
Will is a wizard. No, warlock. Will is a warlock, is what I meant to say.
Got Gale on the mind. It's understandable. It's easy.
Will is a warlock who his pact that he made with his patron was specifically like, hey, I will like make this pact if the only thing that you can send me after are like bad people. Now he didn't word it right, so there's a little bit of wiggle room there.
Yep.
But the main thing is like, it's pretty much, hey, the only people you can send me after are evil people.
Yep.
So he has a mission to hunt your next crew member.
Yep.
Karlach, thinking that she is a horrible person.
Yeah.
But the only reason that she is technically okay to be hunted is because one of the things that they said in the contract is heartless people. Now, her heart is technically not a heart, so she technically is heartless. So they got away in that technicality of hunting this good person who's like one of the nicest, goodest people in the game. And so what is your spoiler, not spoiler for him?
Boy, spoiler, not spoiler for Will. A dashing swordsman with a secret is probably what I would say, who is honestly probably the most goody two-shoes of the group. Very close.
I would say not. I would say the next person is. I would say he is like one behind, though.
I think those two are pretty tied. Maybe most heroic of the group.
He is not a bad person, and the topic that I was supposed to have for this week was talking about the person who is his father.
Yeah, which we'll have to dive into. But okay, Karlach I think is next, right?
Yes, Karlach. Karlach is a tiefling that was stuck in the Blood War. The Blood War is the war between demons and devils, where that is happening at all times in the first layer of hell, Avernus.
Yep.
And she was sold into that by by someone who she trusted. So
yeah, she has like a giant
person.
Infernal engine, which is super cool.
Yes,
which is really cool.
So in the Descent into Avernus stuff, they have like robots and cars and things, and so they put one of those like car engines that only are supposed to work in Avernus in her
So I
chest.
think my spoilers, not spoilers, for Karlach would be a barbarian whose barbarian totem is goodness. She's just a barbarian who's extremely kind and good, but also crass.
Now, next we have Halsin. Halsin is a druid.
Yes. Do you like Halsin?
I don't hate him. Did you do his missions in the Cursed Lands?
I have not.
Oh,
I have not.
Oh, that's a massive part of who he is.
I don't know much about Halsin, but I've liked what I've seen so far.
So there's an individual that you can meet in that kind of shadowy lands who will be like, "Hey, I met this
What is he like?
person."
Is he a stoner?
And
Hey, man.
well, he's dying.
Okay.
He's dying. He's like, "I
Okay.
met this
I thought
person
he
named
was taking the
Daniel."
biggest hit of his joint of all time.
The only one who can help him is Halson.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Who the heck is Halson?" And you're like, "Wait, I have Halson at my camp." And so is he a companion for you, or is he just like in your camp?
Yes.
Okay.
He is. So I've talked to him all about the curse and stuff. I just haven't had him in my party at all.
Yeah, so you could have gotten rid of the curse in Act 2. Between Act 1 and Act 2, you could still go to all the Act 1 places. In Act 3, you lose all Act 2 and Act 1 places.
Yeah, I haven't been to Act 3 yet, so I still probably can go and fix it. I haven't been there yet, so I know it's an option that you can do in Act 2, and I wanted to do it. So, but I love Halson. I think he's cool. I want to use him in my next playthrough just to learn more about him. Because I don't know too much about him, but so far from what I've seen, my spoilers, like not spoilers, would be like, honestly, he just seems like kind of like a lovable druid bear guy, to be honest. Like he just seems like
he seems like he's always trying to do what's best.
Yep. So that's Halson. Who else do we have? I feel like we're missing somebody.
Minthara.
Definitely missing. Oh, Minthara.
Now, you have never had Minthara because she is only available on evil playthroughs.
Yep.
Now, I have not had a lot of experience with her. As in my evil playthrough, I've only made it through. I'm only like most of the way through.
I know,
Act
like
1.
you have like a hot and passionate romance with her, like right away if you want to. But that's all I know.
Only once you raid the
yeah, of
growth.
course.
So kill everybody, all the children, women,
That
everybody.
gets her in the mood.
and then she gets romantic with you,
of course, as
now,
one would.
Of course. Now, when you do that, the biggest problem that she runs into is partway through, because you're trying to pretend to be something you're not when you are working with these goblins and drow and stuff. She kind of realizes when she's having that time with you.
Awkward.
That she can no longer hear
you in the gut, you're dead.
The sound of her god, who is kind of leading everything she's done.
Gosh.
And so she immediately is like, "What the heck's wrong with you? Why can't I hear my god?" type thing. Well, at one point she goes to stab you, and her god tells her, no, bring them to me. Maybe they're good too. Maybe they're cool. So that's all I've had so far with her. But she had this moment of where you kind of could convince her that maybe her evil way is not good.
Ooh, after you've already murdered a bunch of people.
That's true. It's true. You have to murder a bunch of people to get to this point. But you might be able to turn her good, which is
could be interesting.
Really interesting to me. And I'm curious to see where it goes.
I would say spoilers, not spoilers for her. Just kill her. That's all I have to say.
Spoiler, not spoiler. I will say, actually, just straight up spoiler. Because she was unsuccessful in that first, because she doesn't take the item from you. She doesn't know what you have. She doesn't know that everything she's looking for is in your pocket.
Yep.
When you see her at Moonrise Tower, she is being judged. And you have to first convince them not to kill her.
Oh.
And then you have to go into the prison and free her.
Oh. Which you do anyway, so you have to go in the prison anyway.
Well, no, you don't. Because I will say...
I guess if you're bad.
When I played Moonrise Tower, which is why I played it so differently than you, I finished the Shar thing first before I ever went to Moonrise Tower.
Oh, interesting.
It completely cuts you off from every Moonrise Tower thing that you could do that's not combat. It just immediately starts that final conflict.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
So people are dead.
Yeah.
So people that
that's
you're supposed
so
to
sad.
go find,
that's so
I
sad.
couldn't.
One of my favorite characters is in there.
I was so sad. I was so excited to save Wolbrin and save all these
he's
other
like
people.
One of my favorite characters. He's
I loved his buddy,
he's
Barkus.
So awesome.
I will end the world for Barkus. But I couldn't save Wolbrin because I I did this, and I was like, dang it cut me off from all this. Then when I went to Moonrise Tower, I went around, like, I did like a loop around the outside of it, went in at like the top. I fought some guys in a room, opened a door, and suddenly I was fighting Ketherick. And I was like,
no.
So I just skipped the whole tower.
Oh, that's sad.
I didn't see any of it. I just saw one room, fought, and then go fight Ketherick, and then we went to, like, the part where, like, the end of Act 2 happens.
That's so sad. Did you get to go into the flesh chamber?
That's the thing that you follow Ketherick into, right? Yeah, I went into all that.
Yeah, right, yeah. Did you get to go in there before?
I didn't know you could go in there before.
Yeah, Oh, that's unfortunate. You can find all sorts of cool stuff in there.
I mean, I found lots of cool stuff. I saved Zevlor and some of the other guys and Mizora, but I skipped most of that. And I'm like, man, I really wanted to go there. I'm really curious what that's going to be like in my next playthrough.
That's so sad. You can get a free tadpole in there.
Mm.
You can get a free tadpole in there. I don't know if it's there when you...
I don't think so. I didn't use very many. I mean, I used a lot of tadpoles on Just Will. I didn't use tadpoles because I took it as I didn't even use the Illithid Wisdom checks. I never used them because I was strictly like nervous about it. One of the things,
right
the biggest changes from early access to the main game is your Guardian. Your Guardian in early access was like trying to seduce you. And it was trying to seduce you to use the tadpole. And so I was like, I'm super against that. I don't trust it. I don't think it's good for me.
Yeah, well, then they've changed a lot then.
Yeah, because now it's like this Guardian who's trying to protect you and all this stuff.
They still want you to use the tadpole.
Oh, they really want you to.
They don't.
Have you met the Guardian?
Oh, yeah, like 1,000 times. Yeah.
Like
do I get to physically meet them? Oh, well then no. So then I haven't physically met them.
Oh, you haven't like physically met them yet? Oh, okay. You know what they physically look like? Because it's not that character you designed. Oh my goodness. Can I just say? This will be like near the end of this episode. This is a massive spoiler right here.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think I know. I think I already know. I think I've seen... Well,
okay, what do you think?
No, spoil it.
Okay. It is a mind flayer.
Ah.
It doesn't look like any of your things. It's a mind flayer. And it's
so
living
good.
in the
That's so good.
The prism, the device that you carry. Now, it is protecting the thing that is preventing you from being controlled. The thing that is preventing you from being controlled is a Gith Yankee. It is the son of Gith. The origin, the mind flayer. I mean, the Gith Yankee. Before Gith were called Gith Yankee and Gith Sarai, they had no name. There was one who developed kind of like through evolution and just being under the mind flayer's control so long, a kind of natural resistance to the mind flayer's telepathy. That was Gith. Gith led a revolution and saved all the slaves. Their son, Orpheus, is in that prism being protected by that mind flayer.
I wonder how Lae'zel's going to act about that. That makes me curious.
It's going to be fascinating with your Gith Yankee character.
So you can sleep with the mind flayer? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, no, you. Emperor totally wants to sleep with you.
Yes.
It is wild.
Bye-bye, my other romance options.
Can I give... I think I'm not going to spoil this because I want the rest of our listeners to just experience it as they do in the game, but I do want to talk to you more about Emperor when we end this recording.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Other characters that we're missing. Are we missing? I know there's some from the old game that we can get. That we get in Act 2. Chihira that we can get in Act 2. I don't know anything about her though. To be honest, I have not. I just got her not too long ago, but she seems like an old cool lady.
Is there any? Oh, Chihira.
Yeah,
she's a druid. I didn't like her very much. I didn't care for her. And then the funny thing is there's another companion you get, and it became too weird. Like I couldn't figure out how to get to him, and nobody was telling me how, and I was like, I don't want to look it up, so I'm just going to give up. And I just never found Minsk.
Yeah. I don't know where they are either.
Well, so Minsk is under the ground, is in the sewer system of Baldur's Gate.
Ah, okay.
And it is so big and so massive.
Yeah, okay.
that it is. There's so like I couldn't. I just was like, I don't care to find you anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm gonna finish the game.
Yeah.
I played 91
Well,
hours. I'm gonna finish
those are
this.
those are the characters, right? I think that's all of them, besides the Guardian, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's everybody.
I will say one more thing that they never say in the game, but is so obvious.
I guess we got to talk about Withers too.
They even say it in like the little like loading screens. Even if you make a correct religion check in the temple where you find Withers, it tells you this. Kind of similarly, it doesn't say it outright. The temple where you find the guy who allows you to reclass and revives you, his name is Withers. In the temple you find him. It is a temple to the god Jurgle. Jurgle is not a god anymore. Jurgle gave up his power of being the god of death. He gave it up to Baal, Bane, and Merkel. The three, like that's who he gave the power to. So he is regretting everything he did giving these gods power. That is why he is at your party, at your camp, reviving you and making sure you can defeat him. Because he regrets what he did. That's who I think Withers is. They don't say it ever outright. He could just be like a very high-level cleric of his, but I am so sure it's Jurgle.
I love Withers as a
Withers
character,
is fantastic. Withers can also be like, oh,
Yeah.
are you lonely? No one's romancing you. And you're like, screw you, Withers.
I
What is
just
wrong
got to
with
the
you?
point where I'm romancing a character right now, and Withers is like, oh, like shut up, dude. I know. Well, I think now we have
Yes.
to talk about one more thing before we go. Romancing. Who are you romancing? Who's your favorite character? Why are you romancing them? I gotta know.
Okay, I originally romanced Lae'zel.
Ooh, bold choice.
Because
Because she's mean to you.
I what?
Need to talk about it in therapy because she's mean to you. It's been a trend
It's
in
not.
TikTok.
It's not. I don't hate it. I'll say that. I don't hate it. Yes, she's very. I'm gonna be in control. I'm gonna be in command. Until she's
dude.
not though. She meets. So she's the first one to get like intimate. Like if you go Shadowheart's route, that first encounter that you have there, she's like,
Yep.
You have a date. You have a cute date night. But with her, it's like I'm horny. I'm gonna use you, and you're just gonna sit there and do what I tell you. And so that's how it starts. And then later on, she has like a time where she's like, I can't stop thinking about you. You infest my mind. Now you need to prove to me that you're worthy to be my lover.
Wait, Josh, are you
And
Lae'zel's voice actor? You were getting into it right there for a second.
well, because I'm mad at her for this. Now I have to explain to you why. Because she says like you have to prove to me that you're worthy.
Yep.
And then suddenly when you right after you long rested, or actually I think it's right after you long rested, you have to have a fight with her immediately.
Oh no.
With just you versus her. I had in her inventory 2 potions of invisibility, 2 scrolls of hold person, a fairy fire scroll. She used all of them. And I'm like, did you waste every single thing that I had in your inventory? I had to reload before the save, take it all out of her inventory, just so she didn't waste the potions of invisibility and stuff. Oh my word.
I think I had her naked with no weapons when I did that. So who's your current romance
I
then?
ended up with Shadowheart.
With Shadowheart. Good? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was. Shadowheart is a very interesting character.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I was trying to romance Karlach in that one because that was going to be my good
Ooh.
playthrough, and I was like, Karlach's not going to be with me
Yeah.
in the other one, and I just wasn't good enough for her.
No.
I was too bad. I did too many like questionable options, and she's like,
Well-
nah, dude. Like, I like you. I have max approval rating, but it's like mid game, so I'm not starting a romance with you. And I was like, dang it.
Boy, for me, I'm torn. It took me forever to decide who I wanted to romance.
Oh no, it is that is a sign of good companions.
Yeah, it took me forever. I ended up settling with Karlach for the first time. Settling, that sounded mean. I ended up going with
that
Karlach.
is a rough choice. Say there.
I will say she's a wonderful character. I wasn't super into the romance option. I think I kind of lost interest. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how to describe it. I'm not done. I haven't finished the whole story with her yet though, but so far it's great. I've enjoyed that character development, but I started with Shadowheart.
So you were doing Shadowheart? There is a romance scene that you get one night that you rest at in Baldur's Gate. And she like told me about it before we went to sleep. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come to you in the night." And then in the morning she talked to me about it like we had done it, but I had some sort of bug and it skipped the scene.
Yeah.
Which was it was like the actual scene where they get intimate, and I was like, okay, well, I guess just screw me then. I guess I don't get to see like the part where they like, because it was kind of like this culmination of all these like dates and things that you'd done to like woo her, and then I didn't get it.
I think for me, my problem with Karlach is I feel like it's really corny. Cause she's so
I mean, it might just. I think
gung ho.
I think that's just who she is, and I think that I don't. It doesn't feel like that. I feel like there were people like that in real life.
Oh, for sure.
I saw a video that was so cute today that made me so bad that I didn't get the Karlach romance. It was a video on TikTok where she's like talking to you, like she just talks to you throughout the day, like at one of the points where like the little exclamation point shows up on her head, and you can talk to her, and she's like, "Oh, like how you feeling?" and kind of talking about how like your relationship and stuff. And one of the options is like you could say like, "Oh, I adore you." The other one is like, "I ... love you." If you say "I ... love you," she, like, in less than 2 seconds is like, "Oh my gosh, I love you too." Like, I was just waiting, like, pretty much like, she was just on the brink waiting to say it. She just needed you to say it first.
Yes,
and
I've
it's
done
the
that one.
cutest freaking thing.
It's so good. I've definitely enjoyed the character development, the character arc, but there's a part of me that, like, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what, Lae'zel's romance would be, like,
Mm-hmm.
Who knows, she's mean to me.
I am very curious, like, because, I mean, as I said, like, it's hard for me to, like, take that, like, the option that they want you to take in a lot of these is, like, become what I imagine as good. Yeah. And it's like, culturally, that's your cultural idea of good. That's not their cultural idea of good. And, like, I am curious to see where that went. If I did be like, you have to be my version of good. In the end of the game, she became her, like, exactly what she wanted to be.
I've had a hard time choosing.
Good for her.
I almost went with Will, too, for a while. But the one that came first was Karlach, because I play a really good character, and it's just, I don't know, my personality. So, like, everything I chose was what Karlach liked. It kind of naturally happened. So, but I think the next time I'm probably, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do Shadowheart.
Yeah. You're like, this isn't where my character. I don't feel like this is...
first, but I turned her down. I didn't turn her down. I went to the scene, then I was like, it wants you to like kiss her, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I said no, and then I felt bad because then she was upset, and I felt bad. But so Karlach is the one I'm doing right now, and I've enjoyed it. But I'm curious about the other ones a lot, and my character like isn't gay in this game, but also like I'm definitely gonna have to romance all the dudes because I love the dude characters.
The house and romance was slightly shown off in. Did you see it?
No.
Oh my goodness, dude. The scene that they showed was the getting intimate scene with him.
Yeah.
It turns out their idea of how druids work is when they get really passionate, it kind of becomes hard to control the beast within. So as you're like kissing him, he turns into a bear. No, it's great and then he immediately turns out of his bear form, and he's like, "I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do that." Like it becomes hard to control. And of course, one of the options is
he's only got 2 per day. He's only got 2 per short rest. So
And so you could continue the scene that way if that is what you want.
That's funny.
And it is wild. It was what they showed off at like the final like presentation before the game was released.
I kind of because Will and Karlach pretty much like the same things, to be honest. They're both like extremely good characters. So anytime you're heroic,
they're immediately bros.
They they're the two that rose the fastest besides Gale. But Gale is just impossible not to romance. So, but
can I say this? I cursed
yeah.
Will to stay in his contract
I'm
forever
freeing him.
to sign a more permanent contract.
No. Why?
It was that or another option, which I really didn't want. So I was like, I'm sorry, Will. I don't want that other option. It was that, or let his dad die and he becomes the Duke of Waterdeep. I mean, of Baldur's Gate. And I was like, I don't want you ruling Baldur's Gate.
That's so sad. No, but the what I was gonna say is the only scene I've seen so far with Will is throughout the time you kind of learn about his story and how his dad is, the
Duke
ruler
Uldar Raven God.
He's the Duke. Yeah. And that like he knows how to dance, and so like there's kind of a theme of you trying to figure out, trying to get him to dance. And then like you walk up on him dancing, and he's like practicing for you, and then he wants you to be his dance partner, and that kind of turns into the romance scene. And I said no because I was, I know it's cute. Awesome. And then I said
he was another one that I wasn't goody two shoes enough in this playthrough to get him to like me.
Two shoes. I'm telling you, he's probably more goody two shoes than Karlach in terms of options, what he approves of. Because Karlach still likes to like rage and like beat things up, and Will doesn't. But I felt so bad because then he's like, "Oh, well, I thought you wanted to dance with me," and I was like, "Ah, man."
You're like, I do though, but I don't want to have a romance scene with you. Can we dance and not romance?
I know. Or like Gale, Gale, I'll go shoot magic off in the sky with you, but not that kind of shooting.
Oh man, the game is so good, and I could talk about it for hours, man.
Know. So, okay, well, I mean, it's already been a long episode. Do we end it there?
Yes. I think we should. I think it's pretty. We had a pretty fun just talk about this. I think we'll probably wait. Like this will be like we'll have 2 episodes before this. Before our we'll have 4 episodes, and then this one. And thank you all. Yeah. Everybody should have more time to play and everything. And
And if you haven't gotten it, or if you're,
it is also dangerous
getting it or not.
Me and Aaron have both stayed up way too late playing this game.
Yeah. I don't normally do that either, and I've been totally hooked.
Same. I'm normally pretty good about I want to wake up at 7 every morning, so I don't want to. And then I'm like, I look at the clock and it's 1 something, and I'm like, oh dang it! It is very good. But thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our ramble about this game that we enjoy. Man, this is a good talk. It was a good talk. I'm trying to remember any of my amble at the end.
Being a barrel. That's all I remember.
Well, no, I know that one, but I was wondering, is there anything else I should ask or anything else I should
email us.
Well, yes. If you would like to write to us, you could write to us at Dungeoneered at hotmail.com.
Remember the email. Good job.
We if you listen to us on any podcasting apps with reviews, if you could write a review, it really helps show that you're engaging with the show, and that you and it kind of helps other people see that the show's not terrible and they should listen too. But we appreciate you all for listening, and especially those who came back after our year hiatus. Thank you so much, and as I always say, always remember to be the sharpest barrel in the bunch. See you next time. There it is.
Bye.